Hi, I'm Claire Dash, and I'm a trauma healer, and I've been doing this work over 3 decades. I'm going to talk to you about parts work and how doing parts work heals trauma. I'm so passionate about this. I really would love for this to be taught in primary school. When we understand what's going on inside ourselves and we can bring love and compassion to that, then trauma gets healed. I'm going to try and explain this to you in a short video. So what I understand about parts is that each of us have parts inside us. And when we're traumatized, those parts get stuck in time. So say, for example, there's a experience you had as a child where you were repeatedly told off for being, flamboyant or expressive, or wanting to wear fancy dresses, but it didn't fit with the image that your parents had of you. And so they said, no, you can't wear that. No, you can't dress like that. And you're only a toddler, and all you're doing is expressing what's in your heart and what feels right for you. So those experiences of being told no bring lots of trauma with them, because we need our parents. We need our parents to care for us. We need their emotional support. And if we're not doing it right, well, we want to do it right. When we're that age, that's as basic as it gets. So we conform. We shut down something inside of us. So what happens to that part that wanted to be flamboyant? That part of us that wanted to make lots of noise and have lots of colour? And if that's been shut down, where does it go? So when we're talking about parts, my understanding is that as an adult, that part is still in us, but it's in a shut down place under layers of protection. So that flamboyant part of us is down below and perhaps even exiled. We can't allow ourselves to have that because it created such shame and pain for us. So that part still exists, but it's down in the core of like a channel. And over the top of that are other parts that have been developed in order to keep that part from being hurt again. And so we have protector parts. So these parts might have particular points of view to hold the body still. That shuts down the flamboyance and keeps mum and dad happy. And that could be a freeze response. It might be to close our mouths and not speak what we feel inside. So a 3 or 4 year old who's doing that is shutting down something. A part of them is protecting the body by not saying what they really want to say. And so that becomes a kind of numbness and a shutdown. And then other parts might develop later. Sister said that I shouldn't do that because flamboyant is bad. And so we have a part of us that says, I am being bad if I'm being flamboyant, and I have to come in and stop all of that happening. So I must only choose these colors, choose this behavior. And so even as a 3 or 4 year old, there's parts of us that are guiding us in order to protect the pain of that part that was hurt. So can you see we have these layers of parts? There isn't just one part. And so what happens later in life when we're maybe in a relationship with somebody and they're saying, well, what do you really think? What do you really feel? And you feel the freeze. You feel the numbness. You don't feel a connection because there's all these parts inside that have protected you from feeling that. And so we feel depression. And so what's happened is we've been traumatized by something quite subtle. Because we weren't seen as ourselves, we have other traumas, and I'm just giving you a simple example here. But that part that was traumatized is held right down deep or separate in a compartment that we cannot access. So when our partner asks us something, we can't access that. All we feel is the other parts inside that are protecting us from going there. And when we do parts work, we start to unfold those layers. So you could imagine having that conversation with your partner as an adult and talking it through with maybe a third person, like a therapist or a friend, like you've written a play. So you say, well, my partner said this, and then I reacted like this, and I said this, and this is what happened, and I ended up having a meltdown or feeling completely shut down. And so when it's a play, you can start to bring all the players, all the parts on board. So you bring in the freeze part, the numb part, the I can't speak part. And as you start to explore them, you realize that maybe they're really young and they don't understand that the body is able to be flamboyant now. It's whose business is it but yours? But those parts of us that are stuck in the compartment and frozen in time, they don't have that connection. So when we heal our parts, when we listen to what they have to say, what their burdens are, and they explore that with us and they tell us about how they're feeling and what's really going on, then they start to let go. They start to go, oh, I'm free to be me now. And then this change can happen. And this is how we heal the trauma. The trauma which feels like depression or freeze or shutdown or numbness, disconnection, gets liberated. And we can feel what we really felt when we were traumatized, let go of. And underneath that, the butterfly of flamboyance can come out again. And so what we're doing with trauma work, with parts work, is we're not going, this part shouldn't be here anymore. Depression should go. Numbness should go. Freeze should go. What we're really doing is we're listening to how that part came about. And when we do that, we understand the story of our life. We bring in the wisdom that we've grown up with, our adult wisdom that maybe these child parts don't have. And what happens is that's healing. It's liberating. And our parts can be free to be themselves. So I hope this gives you a little taste for what parts work is about. It is quite hard to do by yourself, which is why I'm recommending when you do it with a friend or with a therapist or a healer, it can really help because it brings that external connection in, which other parts of us are trying to manipulate so that we don't have that happen. You know, they're protecting us. It's not a meanness. So journaling can be a way of doing this. But for me personally, I find art making a beautiful way of doing this. I hope that really helps. Reach out if you have any questions. Lots of love.